We can just get started. So Avero really is the leader in restaurant software solutions. We were founded about 16 years ago by a restaurant group CFO here in New York named Damien McGavro. And what Damien was finding was that his operators, so his managers, assistant managers, and so on, were having a ton of issues answering what he thought were really basic questions about his restaurant operation. So things like, who's my top and bottom performing server, or what items sell better on a Tuesday than a Thursday? So with that, he was really looking for a way to take that data out of the point of sale system and then give it back to restaurant operators in a way they could really use. What we've always said is that the point of sale is really great at capturing information, but it's not so great at actually taking that data and giving it back to a restaurant operator in a way they can actually use to make changes in their business. So over the past 16 years, what we've done is we've developed automated ways to take data out of the point of sale and then give it back to restaurant operators on a phone, on a tablet, in their email, as well as on a full web-based platform so that they can really understand how the business is performing. We're currently working with about 6,000 food and beverage customers, and we're managing about 30,000 users on our platform. There's a few really unique things about the Avero platform. The first is that we really find that customers are taking Avero and they're ingraining it in their everyday habits. So customers are waking up in the morning and they're reading through the logbook to see what they need to discuss during pre-shift. Or they're walking from their car to the restaurant and they're going to just check the numbers to see, if there are particular items that they really want to focus on selling. And additionally, we really do work with everyone in the food and beverage industry. So whether you're a single unit operator all the way up to multinational hotel and casino organizations, we really are working with everyone on all ranges of the food and beverage spectrum. The one thing that all of these operators, regardless of size, location, concept, and so on, have in common is that they're all using Avero in order to run a more streamlined, profitable organization. So one of the ways that our customers do this is by utilizing what we call the Gold package, and that's really what we're going to be focusing on today. The Gold package gives you access both to our sales and productivity modules and gives you the ability to do things like communicate more efficiently and effectively with your team, run and track server sales contests really easily, as well as really get group-level performance metrics across the all 5 locations where you can start to get that full perspective on the health of the business. We do pull about 95% of the data we rely on out of the point-of-sale system, so that's definitely the primary source. But there are a few other places that we do pull data from as well, and that's why I was asking about US Foods Menu Profit Pro. So in addition to the point-of-sale data, we can also pull costing data out of MPP, match that to your sales data so you can start to really get that full picture, not only what sold, not only who sold it, but also is this a good item for my bottom line. In addition to that costing data, we can also pull weather data. We'll pull weather data automatically based on your zip code for each location and push it into our mobile application and web-based application. And then we also give you the ability to add in any number of different events, and we have a ton of different pre-populated calendars to make that really easy for you. In addition to those benefits, every Avero package always includes a few other key features. So first is that we provide free access to our mobile applications. The mobile apps are available both on Android as well as iOS devices and are available totally for free for all of our customers. So that's a great added benefit. Additionally, as a multi-unit operators with more than one location using Avero, you get free access to our group-level analytics. So that gives you the ability to not only compare sales, but also promos and voids and labor across your location so that you can really understand where you need to be focusing as an operator. Across the entire platform, we do offer a free unlimited number of users, so we're not looking to say you can only have 1 user per location or 5 users. It's totally up to you who does and doesn't get access to your data, and even the level of access that they get. So I think the easiest sort of example of that is if you have a host or a hostess who should get access to the logbook to keep track of the front of house happenings, but they shouldn't necessarily get access to anything else within the product. You are able to set up that level of restriction. In addition to the mobile app and the full web-based platform, we also do offer free emailed and scheduled reporting. So if you find 3, 4, 5 reports that are really important to your business and you want them delivered to your inbox on a regular frequency, you can really easily set that up right on the Avero side. And then lastly, we provide you with all the customer support resources you need in order to make sure that you can learn how to use the product. The support resources are all included in every Avero package. Live chat and phone support are just two examples of those features, but we also have email support. We have a fully built-out solution center, which is really a self-guided resource to learning all about Avero with videos as well as step-by-step diagrams. And then we also host online trainings twice per day, Monday through Friday. Those trainings are all hosted by our in-house support team of former restaurant operators, and they really manage all of our support resources. So it means when you're giving them a call or you have a question, you're going to be speaking with someone who understands the restaurant industry. They're former chefs, GMs, KMs, etc. And you're not going to have to explain to them the difference between check average and PPA. They understand what that means because they're from that world. Any questions about anything that we've gone through so far?
They're all nodding their heads.
Okay, perfect. So then with that, I will pull up my iPad screen, and we can jump into the mobile application. If you give me 1 second. Perfect. Are you guys able to see the iPad screen now?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is our mobile application. Again, the mobile app's available totally for free for customers, both on Android and iOS. This is on an iPad, but you can download the app on your iPhone as well and get all of the same information out of it. It just looks a little bit different based on screen real estate. What we're looking at here is a group-level comparison. So we're looking across a business that actually, a demo business that actually has 5 different locations, looking across total sales so we can start to understand how each of the locations is doing compared to the others. One of the really great features of the entire Avero offering is what we call our drill down capability. So where you see that in the mobile application is if I just click on the pub, for instance, I can drill down to that next level of detail so I can understand more specifically how the pub is performing. What we've really tried to do here is make all of this data as usable and user-friendly and actionable as possible. So we can start in the top left quadrant, and this is looking at total sales. So we're going to break down total sales between food and beverage sales, both visually with the different colors, as well as numerically by highlighting over any individual piece of this bar chart. What you see here is that once you've been an Avero customer for a year, you'll get access to our year-over-year data. We automatically store data once you become an Avero customer forever, so you would have access to those year-over-year comparisons, and we can provide those variance reports once those are available. If you guys are interested in having that historical data immediately, that's definitely something we can discuss. We do have the ability to pull about a year of historical data off an Aloha system. Was there a question?
No, that's already been discussed.
Okay, perfect.
We were giggling because that was something that could very well be very important to them.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, definitely let me know if there are any questions about that, and we can definitely get those answered. But the two things that we really see as impacting total sales are obviously customer spend and total traffic. And when you guys are sort of thinking about total traffic in the business and average check, are you typically looking at a total check average, or are you looking at a PPA or on a per cover basis? Per cover. Okay, perfect. I'm just asking because we do have the ability to easily switch that within the product. But with one swipe, I can really easily answer those questions. So swiping once, I can take a look at my average check. So understanding, whether PPA is something we really want to be focusing on and driving up that per cover average, or do we really want to focus on driving up traffic to increase revenues? So really giving you those sort of key metrics just in one place so you can start to really understand how the business is performing.
Okay, stop there because he lost. Okay, we got signal back. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. With one more swipe, this is where I think it starts to get really interesting. So we have really powerful trending capability. This is something that we've really become known for. So what we're looking at here is a trend over the last 6 like days. So we're looking at the last 6 Sundays. We'll pull in the total sales data. That's going to be the blue bar that you see across each of the dates. We'll also pull in total traffic and then plot the two against each other so you can start to see how you're performing over a period of time. So all of that sales data is coming directly out of the point of sale system. But we, again, do have the ability to pull other pieces of information to make sure you're not just looking at a wall of numbers, but that you're really able to add that full context to the restaurant's performance. So we're going to pull weather data based on zip code, push it both into the mobile application and the web-based application. And you can see that across the bottom of the screen here. Obviously, this is not sort of Southern California weather, so don't get worried by that. But we will do that based on your zip code. And then we do give you the ability to add in any number of different events that affect your business. So we'll automatically put in holidays for you. But if you wanted to add in any local events or any sporting events or restaurant-specific events like a happy hour that you run every Sunday or something like that, you do have the ability to add those in to really add that full context to the business. Are there particular weather or event patterns that you guys really see as impacting the business that it would be useful to be able to keep track of?
At least one of our locations is predominantly format more of a sports bar. So they've got opening day at Santa Anita, big days, NFL, NHL, NBA, whether or not the Lakers are doing well, which we haven't seen in years, or the Dodgers. But issues like that, is that automatic, or are these going to have to be kind of pre-programmed manually and then tracked and adjusted?
Yeah, so what we do is we have the pre-populated calendar, and I'll show you how you could add that in. But basically with 2 clicks, you could add in the full Lakers schedule, or you could add in the full Dodgers schedule. We're not going to automatically add those in for you because we don't want to add things in that aren't impactful for your business or that you don't want to track. We make it really easy for you to say, I want to pull in the schedule for these teams, and we'll have all that data automatically populated.
Now, just to play devil's advocate here, ask a very specific question. If I have a manager or management team working at the guy that may not have a seasoned kind of background on business demand, would it be as specific as a general manager being able to see how business was during MLB season when the Dodgers are below 500 or above 500?
It would not be that specific. So you would be able to track the performance based on the Dodgers games, but not based on factors like were the Dodgers over or under 500 without...
We do see a strong trend that way. So I was just
okay. Yeah, the way that you might be able to maybe finagle around that, it would take some manual effort to do something down to that level of granularity. There are some ways that you could probably do that. You would basically want to define an event as the Dodgers being above 500 or the Dodgers being below 500. And then you could use that event as the common thread to see how you've performed over that time with those events. It's not necessarily the way the product's been designed to do something like that, but there are probably some ways that you can sort of get to that. Any other questions about anything we've gone through so far?
You're going to get to reporting later, right?
Yes. Yes. So then the next piece I'll jump into is some of the item sales reporting. So this is really designed to be a fully interactive PMix, as we like to call it. So we'll give you the ability to really easily understand what is and isn't selling within the business. When I say it's fully interactive, what I mean is that if I wanted to understand my beverage sales, I could just click on beverage, for instance. All of the items and categories would adjust accordingly to be beverage items. I'll hop back to a food example, though, and show you one of the other really powerful features of the entire Avero offering, which is the ability to sort by any column header. And while that probably seems sort of boring and not that useful, what it really means is that with a simple click of quantity sold, I can identify my top-selling item, and with another click, I can identify my bottom-selling item, and I can do that across any metric. So whether it's quantity sold, whether it's the most expensive item, I can really easily use that to identify top and bottom performers based on any metric. From here, what we understand that an operator's next question is who actually sold these items. And with a single click of any item, I can actually identify who sold the roast beef. So we're always trying to answer your next question with a single click. And that's really what we've tried to do here, going from that level of what's my food and beverage breakdown, what's my most popular entree, to who actually sold those entrees so we can start to gauge employee performance. All the data that you see on this screen is also coming out of the point of sale system. But with that MPP integration, what we can do is we can also pull in that costing data and pull that into our mobile application as well and add these two additional columns. So we have item cost and cost of goods, really giving you that full perspective on the health of the business. Those are going to be the two metrics in the mobile application, but you can add in any number of different metrics on our full web-based platform as well. So things like item profit, total profit, average profits, etc.
Okay, so that was my next question. Are those headers customizable? Like, for example, it doesn't matter to me if I have a 55% food cost on an item if the contribution margin is higher than a 20% item. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. And the headers in the mobile application are standard, so you can't change out the headers in the mobile application. If you want to do some of that more customized reporting, you'd want to look in our full web-based platform, which we'll get into in a minute, where you can add in, I believe it's anywhere between 4 and 6 different metrics into any single report, and you can mix and match depending on what's most impactful for you.
Okay.
The next piece I'll jump into is our check search tool. This is something our customers make a ton of use out of. Do you guys often get calls from customers who need or are requesting a copy of their receipt after they've dined with you?
All the time.
Okay, perfect. So we've made that really easy to both find that check and actually get it off to a customer from your mobile device. So you can ask sort of those basic questions, how did you pay for your meal? I can put that one filter on, bring up all of the checks that were paid with American Express. And then again, using that column sorting, what I can start to ask is, how many people did you dine with? Or around when did you guys first sit down? And once I've identified that check, I can bring up the fully recreated check with a single click and then email this off to a customer just by clicking that button in the top right corner and clicking email. It's really just designed to save you a ton of time when it comes to finding that check.
Sometimes it's a simple.
And that's the idea. Trying to come in here, and I can explain it to you, but bring Charles in and have him kind of show you a little bit.
You got an iPad charger over there?
I believe it or not, I'm actually being charged right now, but it's not working. So it'll be an interesting day. But no, the check search is hugely impactful. This is actually our most used report in the entire platform. So it's definitely something that people make a ton of use out of and saves people a ton of time. The next piece I'll jump into is our manager's log. Are you guys currently using anything to sort of keep track of everything going on in the business on more of a qualitative basis?
Hot Schedules has its own digital logbook that we implemented in 3 of the locations. And then in addition to that, of course, we always have the good old-fashioned planner, manager notes.
Got it. So what we have is a fully customizable logbook. So the fields that you see here are just examples of how a customer might use this, but you can, add, remove, change, etc. As you see fit. There's a few really unique things about the Avero logbook. So first, anytime you make,
When you say it's customizable on the app, they can change front of house, back of house, events, VIP?
Yes. So they can't do it in the app here. You would do it in the web-based application, but those changes would be reflected in the mobile app, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, so you can switch those out, depending on what's most impactful for your business and really what's most meaningful. Basically, the way this would work is you would just click into any individual field, and you could just make notes directly into that from your phone, your iPad, your computer. So let's say, walk in, not holding temperature, and I can save that note directly in here. Now, if any of you guys were logged onto the platform under your username, you would actually see a few things. So first, you would see that Charles Schoner made this note at 5:07 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, February 22nd. So we're going to time and name stamp every single entry into the logbook automatically, so that you really know who to follow up on if you have a question, and really who's keeping track of things going on in the business. There's a few other really unique things about the Avero logbook. So first, given the different access levels that we were talking about earlier, you could have a host or a hostess only have access to the logbook and nothing else. So that, they're going to have that perspective on maybe what's going on in the front of the house. Are there any regulars that came in today? You do have the ability to definitely set that up. We also have what are called separate tabs. So in this demo business, there's only one tab, but you can set up as many different tabs as you'd like as well, and can set up different restrictions on the tabs. So the example would be if you want to have let's say you want to keep track of any employee issues going on, and you want to do that in the logbook, but obviously you don't want, sort of everyone who has access to the logbook to be able to see that. You could set up a tab called Managers tab, and you could give, just the GM or just the assistant managers and above access to that, and you could make sure that no one else had access to that. So you are able to set up all sorts of different restrictions, just depending on what makes the most sense for your business. And then lastly, you do have the ability as well to set this up to be emailed on any frequency. So many customers will say, I want a copy of the logbook sent to my email every morning at 5 in the morning, so that we don't even have to log on anywhere to get it. It's just going to be delivered right to my inbox for me to be able to read through. So it's a really great way to make sure you can get all of that data just in one place. Any questions about anything that we've gone through so far?
A quick question about the logbook.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have the functionality to replace a daily planner? Can you have month views? Can you schedule things in the future, or is it simply a record of each day?
Yeah, so what you can do, you can absolutely go to different dates. So if you wanted to, for instance, if you wanted to make a note to remind people to do something on the 8th of March, you might want to say, hey, let's put it in the logbook and let's have a field called reminders, and let's put in a reminder for that day. So you could definitely do that. It's not necessarily going to send you a reminder in the exclusive sense of being a reminder. It'll send you the whole logbook, and you can read through that. So there are some ways to use it to do things like that. In terms of looking at a full month, you would probably want to use our calendar, not necessarily the logbook, but you do have the ability to switch between any date in the logbook. Any other questions? Okay, perfect. So then with that, I will hop into our full web-based application before the iPad dies. And you guys should now all be able to see my internet browser. Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So what you're looking at right now is called My Snapshot. My Snapshot's a really great way to get a 30,000-foot overview of how your business is performing. There are 4 quadrants within My Snapshot, and it's a really great way to really customize that data. There's over 300 different ways that you can customize the ways to look at the snapshot. So just depending on what's most impactful for your business, you can make sure that that's available to you. What I'll go through first is sort of the geography of Avero, so to speak. So you see these first 3 tabs: group sales, group promos and voids, group labor. With more than one location signed up with Avero, you'll automatically get access to that group level reporting. And then at the individual location level, you get access to the outlet sales, back of house toolbox, check searching calendar, and logbook. These all really interact with each other. So I'll start with the group sales, and we can take a look at a sales summary. So this is really where you're going to be able to get that perspective again on how are all of my businesses doing compared to one another. What you see right here is the report generator, and this is really where you're going to be able to flexibly look at the data that's relevant to your business. So this is where you can do things like adjust metrics. So if you wanted to add in different metrics, maybe check count's not that important to you, but you want to look at percentages of total covers. I can add that one metric in, rerun the report, and now pull in those key metrics just into this one report for myself. Anywhere that you see a blue hyperlinked name within the product, just like any other link, you can click on that to drill down in order to get more information. So just by clicking on the pub, I'm now drilled down to more specific sales data for that one location. So the first stage of that is going to be looking at the category level. So looking at this food and beverage breakdown at the category level, it looks like we're running a 68-32% split between food and beverage. Is that the split we're targeting, or are we really targeting, 60-40 or 70-30? And what can we do to make sure we're increasing sales of those appropriate categories to hit those numbers? Similarly, you do have the ability, again, with those blue hyperlink names to continue to drill down. So just by clicking on food, I'm now going to that item level where I can understand what items are selling within my business. The default metric that we look at here is gross sales, as you can see. But again, you have the ability to add in any number of different metrics that matter for the business. So I could say, let's look at gross sales. Let's also look at item quantity. And then let's also pull in some of those costing metrics, right? So let's pull in average item profit and total profit as well, so that we can really get that full perspective on each of these items. So now in one report, I'm able to get all four of those key metrics. I can really understand what items are impactful for my bottom line, as well as what items are popular in the business. This is one of those reports that many customers will say, I want this delivered to my inbox on some sort of regular frequency, and you can absolutely do that. So just by clicking this email button in the top right corner, click Schedule Future Email. I could choose the users this should be sent to. I would choose how often I want this sent. So do I want this sent every day? Do I want it sent once a week? The time that it gets sent, and even the format. So we've tried to really make this as easy as possible. Most people will choose to have this sent as an HTML file, so you actually don't even have to open an attachment. It just gets delivered right to your inbox in a format you can read. As soon as I click save, this would start delivering on whatever frequency I've determined. So it's a really great way to make sure you can get all of that data. From here, there's really, I'd say, two ways that customers often use this data. So one sort of goes back to that idea of having to actually find an individual guest check. So let's say the customer doesn't remember, how they paid for the meal. They don't remember, even the server who served them or anything like that. But they remember that they ate let's say the butter lettuce salad. I could just click on that item, and this will actually bring up a list of all the checks in the time period that had that item on the check. From there, I can click on the check number, get that same fully recreated check, and email this and save it as a PDF and email it off to a customer. So we give you a few different ways to sort of get to that same level of detail. The other way that customers use this information is to run contests amongst their servers. Is that something that you guys do in your businesses?
Yeah, if you can. The question I was going to have in this reporting section is I saw you were checking and unchecking certain parameters to generate what your report comes up with. Mm-hmm. What we do, and it's a lot of manual work, is we track what our suggested selling programs, and if we call them add-ons, which is anything additional to an entree. So it could be beer, liquor, wine, dessert, appetizer, anything other than an entree, and we calculate the average add-ons per guest. So is it that customizable for me to create a category that I want tracked by employee per cover?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways to answer that. So first, we do have something called custom category. So right now, we're only looking at food items, but we do have, and I don't think there's any custom categories set up in this demo business, but you do have the ability to set up custom categories on the Avero side. Basically allows you to not have to go and reprogram your point of sale, but create a category that's impactful. So if you wanted to have beer broken out into domestic and imported, right, you could do that and one time say these are the items that fall into each of those categories. So you could definitely create that category, and then you can actually run contests on those categories. I'm not sure if we can get to exactly the metric you want, but I'll show you, and we can maybe work from there. So basically what you would do is I'll do an example of an entire category. So let's say you wanted to increase sales of desserts. I could click the checkbox next to desserts, or whatever category or item you're looking to understand. Click the server icon, and this will bring me to a report that shows me everyone that's worked in this time period, as well as the total quantity they've sold of all of these items in that category. From here, what we can do is we would say, I want to look over a month-long period. I only want to look at servers compared to other servers. And then we would typically recommend looking at an item per cover percentage. So then I can rerun this report. I can sort by total. And now what I can see is which one of my servers actually does the best job of selling desserts to the guests that they see. So it's looking at it on a percentage basis of saying, it looks like Connor sold desserts to 23% of the guests that he saw, which was 531 covers. Kim Ha sold, desserts to 21% of the 302 covers that she saw. Is that in the vein of what you were looking for?
I could see the use of this to find the strengths and weaknesses of individuals in each category, but what about an overall, just add-ons in general?
Could we, Charles, could we look at not only just desserts, but could we look at categories such as desserts, beer, wine, alcohol, all of those in that same way?
Yeah, you definitely could. The report would look a little bit wonky, but I mean, we can.
Segmented? Is that what it would be?
It would. Sorry, what was that?
Like, would it still be segmented? Like, you'll have your report for appetizers and then desserts, and then like it wouldn't blend it.
No. So what I can do is I'm right now doing it for appetizers and desserts, and going back to that same report. So there will be a total column, but it will also have each individual row as well. So when I say it'll look a little wonky, it's because it's going to expand as far out. But there is always a total column. So you could do that if you wanted, absolutely.
Yeah, don't leave that screen. Go back. Go to the total.
Yep.
Hold on. Got a connection issue. There we go. Technical difficulty. Is that report there? Can we download that into an Excel or a CSV file?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you could download it. Columns. Worst case scenario, could come up with the right reports on it.
Yeah. I mean, can't you just click on something that says I don't want a non-detailed report, I want a summary report? Wouldn't that collapse this a little bit?
There is not a button for that. It is with all of the individual items.
Okay. Are you all the way to the right? Because we don't see the total.
Yeah, I am all the way to the right. It's right there.
So there's no total per. No, it's not on the screen. Is it like off the screen?
Yeah, that's one. It's black right there, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Is it still not on the screen?
No, my screen, I'm projecting it, Charles, and it's just
okay.
on the screen.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
Let me see if this works. Is that better?
No.
Sorry. It is there as a total column, I promise you.
Okay.
Any other questions about the sort of contest reporting?
Okay, that's just total quantity though. You don't have it broken down by cover?
I can do it by cover. It defaults to item quantity, so you would just change the metric, and I can look at cover.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Any other questions? Yep.
I am here for a specific reason, which isn't to necessarily learn about the application and what it can do for the business. I've been asked more to discuss how you acquire the data and look at things from a security standpoint. I don't want to. I think most of this is probably not something I'm interested. It looks like a great application, but maybe not something that I need to be involved with for the next 30 minutes. Is there someone I can talk to, and maybe you're not that person, but that can talk to me, maybe when we're done here or at a different time, about how about how your application acquires data and security measures that you take, and all of that? Is there you have another resource that might be able to help me with that?
I'd be happy to discuss that with you. If you want to take that discussion offline, I'm happy to give you my my direct line, and you can feel free to give me a call whenever you have a minute. Does that work?
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's 212.
I'm looking to see if in that email that you sent me, if there's that contact information's there.
If you'd like, I can get that to you, Dale, if you don't have a pen.
No, I'm here. Charles, 212?
391.
391?
9026.
9026. And 212, is that Becky?
Yes, that is New York.
Okay, so you're 5:30 now. A conversation, say, tomorrow morning, possibly? Would that work for you?
Yeah, or just, you can feel free to give me a call, even if it's a little bit later here, and I'll let you know if I'm available, or if we need to connect in the morning.
All right, that sounds great. Great, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Dale.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye.
So the next piece that I'll jump into is our back-of-house toolbox, and in particular the prep calculator. So this is really designed to help you set your prep and par levels as accurately as possible. When it currently comes to how you guys are setting those prep and par levels, are you relying more on chef's intuition, or are you guys doing some sort of calculation to figure that out?
Basically, every 4-day holiday, Mother's Day, Valentine's, whatever have you, we just print out the last year's period in our product mix, and they go by that.
Okay, got it. So what we do here in our prep calculator is we start to look at some of that trended data. So what we do is, let's go through maybe a real example. We could say, I want to prepare for dinner service tonight at the pub. So I can put those filters on. I would see that over the last 5 Mondays, I've seen an average of 166 covers in the business. I can then enter my forecasted number of covers. So let's say I'm expecting there to be, in that location that's sort of run more like a sports bar, there's a big game going on, and so we're actually expecting to see 200 covers. I can enter that into that box, click Calculate Prep, and then when I expand any of these categories, I can understand how many of each item I should be preparing based on how people buy in the restaurant. So based on the 14 deviled eggs we typically sell, and based on the 200 covers we're actually expecting, we should have 17 of those items prepared in order to satisfy the demand, but also make sure we're not over-preparing and then having to throw out food waste at the end of the night. Is that something that you guys think would be useful for setting those prep and par levels more accurately, or do you find that the current method you guys are using is accurate?
I actually like this function because usually when we show previous year's data, it's been a problem over the last 6 years that we keep having increases. So, it's a really hard thing to keep up with all these increases. But if
absolutely. It's a good problem to have, though.
Champagne problems, but if, say, we're up 15%, we can very easily just increase that matrix by 15%, which does all the thinking for the chef, really.
Exactly. So it's really designed to just make the chef's life, as easy as possible.
Right.
The next piece here, we have the check search, same check search that we have on the mobile app. We give you a few other ways to do it, so I won't jump into that unless you guys are really interested. But you do have the ability to obviously find individual checks on the web-based version as well. And then we have the calendar and logbook. So the logbook is, again, that same logbook that's in the mobile application, just available online. And then we have the ability to search through that logbook. So for instances of people's names, for however many times that walk-in wasn't holding temperature over a period of time, because we are creating that digital database. What I did definitely want to highlight was our calendar. So this is really much more than just a simple sort of date tracking mechanism. As I mentioned before, we will automatically pull weather data based on your zip code, push it both into the mobile application and the full web-based application. And this is also where all of those events really are going to live within the product. To the question that was earlier about whether you could look on a month-based view, you do have the ability to do that in the calendar, as you'll see here. So just toggling between the week and the month-based view. So you definitely do have the ability to look at that, but you would do that in the calendar, not the logbook.
And all this stuff, I know we probably already went over it, but like, for example, if this was one of our sports bar applications or sports grills, the GM would see, hockey, basketball, any events that we're following or tying in there on this view?
Exactly. Yep. So as long as they were added into the business, they would be right here. And it's really easy to add those into the business because we do have those pre-populated calendars. So you could add a restaurant-specific event. That would be like a happy hour. You do have the ability to set recurrence as well. So if you have a happy hour, every Monday, you're not going to have to do it 52 times for the whole year. You can do it once. You can also add local events, or it sounds like sporting events are really impactful. So I'll just jump to that one. You would just choose the league. So you'd say, I want to look for, Dodgers games, maybe not the Angels, Dodgers. You would choose the season, and then you could just click this Get Events button, and this will pull the full schedule that we have for the Dodgers right here. And then you can just actually scroll right to the bottom, add all events, and now they'll all be in your calendar. So you do have to say, we want these in the calendar, but we have all of the data there.
What if you put LA or California?
You would need to choose which teams specifically, and the reason for that is because we don't necessarily want to make the presumption of what may be impacting the business on your behalf. We want to make sure that you guys have the decision choice ultimately as to whether or not those are impacting your business.
I have a question. When you go to add local events, like us, we're by the racetrack.
Yeah.
Can you put in Santa Anita Racetrack, and every event that's going on at that racetrack will pop up?
Ask them to search San Gabriel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we can
do that.
So these are all of the events that we have that are taking place in San Gabriel in the next 3 months. In regards specifically to the racetrack, is that a NASCAR track?
Santa Anita horse racing.
Horse
Search
racing.
Arcadia.
Okay.
There you go.
Search Arcadia.
That's kind of cool, though. Think about it. You know what's going on.
Well, for him, he's got the La Mirada Performing Arts Theater right next to him.
Yeah.
We got a lot of big shows.
I was with a customer last week, and the Long Beach cook-off was there.
So these are what we have for Arcadia for the next 3 months. So we've tried to make sure it's comprehensive. Obviously, there are going to be some things that maybe don't show up. What you can do from there, though, is if you had the calendar, we do have a format that you can bulk upload events. So if there are particular things, like some folks wanted to import high school football games, which we don't necessarily have access to every single high school football schedule. What you can do is we have a really easy template. And as long as it's in the template, you can actually upload up to 2,000 events all at once. And then they'll be in your calendar. So there are some ways around that in terms of getting those events in that are impacting your business.
So besides uploading your personal bulk ad events, with the stuff like the Angels and Dodgers, since those are normal in your database events, will you have to do that every year, or will that continue on?
You would need to do that once per year. So you would need to say, we want to add in this particular season. Yes.
Okay.
Kind of cool. And the weather that shows on the calendar, that's the weather permitting the day, or is that last year's?
No, that's the weather for the day.
Can you have it show last year's weather forecast?
You can, not in the calendar. So we'll pull the weather data as far back as we have historical data for you. So if you have a year of historical data, we'll pull the weather for that. And what you'd want to do is you'd want to look at a comparison. So I'll hop back to some of the sales pieces. And you would want to look at an individual comparison. So I would want to say, I want to look at a comparison versus last year at dinner, and then you would see that there's the weather. Obviously, this is, again, not Southern California weather, or at least I hope it wasn't snowing last February in Southern California. But you do have the ability to get that data as well.
Means that the rich track can get good.
Did they leave the track and go indoors?
You know,
Well, I'll leave the best. Keep the galleys.
So now that we're back here, I'll highlight sort of a few things. So first is our trending capability here. It is more robust than on the mobile application. So what I could do is I could say, let's look at the past 10, Monday, the last 10 Mondays at dinner, run this report, pull in all of that data in one place. So I can see that over the past 10 Mondays, we've seen an average of 156 covers and an average check of $43.61. As you can see, there's a ton of different weather conditions, both temperatures and conditions. So what I could do is I could click this weather button. I could choose to look at a particular condition. So I could say I only want to look at clear Mondays, rerun the report, and actually see that in the past 10 weeks, there have only been 3 clear Mondays. And on clear Mondays, we see 167 covers and an average check of $49.05. So we see our traffic increase. We also see our average check increase. And now, if I'm preparing for this Monday, I can start to really think about how we want to capture that. Do we want to make sure that we have all of the our best servers on staff? How do we want to run a special promotion to really sort of further capture everyone's attention? So it's a really great way to start to really understand how weather and events are impacting your business.
Can that be run hourly as well?
This can, yes and no. So what we could do is we do have the ability to look at the hour at the group level, and then you can drill down. So it's a little bit roundabout. But what we could do is we could look at a group sales by hour, and then you can look actually broken down into 15-minute intervals. So we could say, let's just look at yesterday, look at 30-minute intervals. And we could look at one specific business. I'm actually not sure when this business is open. So you would have the ability to look at that, drill down by clicking on the pub, and go to more specific information about how this business has performed at that period. And then you do have the ability to look at a trend as well. So you do have the ability to get to that level of detail. It is a little bit more roundabout, but you can get to it, yes.
And then, of course, you could save that report, email it, or whatever you wanted to do.
Yes, exactly. While we're at the group level, I'll jump into the group promos and voids as well. So as I was mentioning, we do give you the ability to really keep track of all those promos and voids. So I can rerun this report. Maybe I'll actually add all the businesses, run this report, and now I can compare, my promotions across all 5 of my businesses. Is there one location where things seem to be a little bit out of hand, or are we satisfied with what's going on here? Just like we just did with that group sales by hour, you have the ability to click on any of these individual businesses as well. Go to that next level where I can say, what actual items were associated with these promos or which employee was associated with these promos. So we do give you the ability to do that. And then also on the labor front, we'll pull the punch-in, punch-out combinations and the rates out of the Aloha system. And again, give you that ability to compare your labor costs, so you can start to understand if there's a particular business that maybe is a little bit, needs a little bit of help when it comes to using hot schedules, or why does the sushi spot have $2,300 of overtime pay yesterday? We really need to focus on scheduling more effectively at the sushi spot. So really giving you the ability to understand where your labor costs are coming from. Any questions about anything that we've gone through?
you do some editing the next day. How often does this upgrade or update?
We pull data once per day after the point of sale runs its end of day. If you are making, I imagine you're probably most often referring to punch edits for employees that have clocked in and clocked out. Is that accurate? But, yeah, so we absolutely do pull those punch edits.
Yeah.
It just is reflected the next day.
What do you need that for?
Is there a way to manually update? I know there's sometimes working on a report and we make some adjustments and we're like, oh, I want to grind right now. Like, do you have that capability?
Yes and no. It's not the way it's been designed. The way that Aloha functions, I know that every time you make an adjustment to an individual punch, it regrinds the file, and you can force send the file via our data extraction utility. It is not an instantaneous process, so it still will take a couple of hours to be reflected, but you do have the ability to sort of force data back into the system. Again, it's not the way that the system has been designed, so I'm not going to sort of say it'll always work exactly that way, because it is designed around end-of-day polling. That said, there are people that have done that and forced those updates more frequently into the system.
This is basically the same question that Wendy said is, can you break that by 30 minutes, hour throughout the day to see where your labor is at?
So we won't do it in sort of that level. You do have the ability to go down and see which employees are, responsible for certain costs. So I could click on the pub and go to that level of saying, which job class is responsible for these hours or whatever they may be, and continue to drill down to get more and more information. But we don't have that ability to do the 30-minute piece here.
I have a question that's not necessarily on this report, but say it goes back to the sales of the server. If we comp something for, say, a complaint or whatever it may be, will that break that down as well and show you which servers get comped more or?
Yeah, so what you would want to use the promos and voids piece, and you would want to drill down to the individual outlet level, and then click on employee. So what you would want to do is, let's find an example of one that would be a good example. Let's do the bistro. So we can drill down to the bistro, and then what we could do is we could click on employee. So if we wanted to say, where or which employee has the most front of house service promotions, I could click on employee, and then this will bring me to a report that will show me all the employees as well as both the quantity and dollar amount of their individual promotions.
So it would tell you the reason, say coffee drink will tell you, it's because bad service, because food was running late, time was running late. Will it tell you?
It's gonna be, the promos are being pulled directly out of the point of sale. So these examples of promos are just that. They're examples of how the promos might come across, but we're not going to force your promos into these buckets, right? So if you have different promotions, one called, or different, voids or comps called, late food or wrong food or something like that, we'll pull those. We're not going to force them into these buckets, and then you could understand it in that way.
I was thinking of it as a promo.
Oh, yeah, that's all I'm reading.
Great. Well, the last thing I'll highlight here then are all of the support resources. So all of the support resources live along the top right side of Avero. So we have our fully built out solution center. This is where you can watch a video. You can look at a step-by-step diagram walking you through how to run a specific solution. We also have the live chat, support email, support phone, and online trainings. These online trainings are hosted twice per day, Monday through Friday. And really all of our support resources are managed by our in-house support team of former operators. So they're a really great resource to learn all about the Avero product and really be able to connect with someone who understands the questions and issues that operators face and are really looking to help them make the most of the Avero offering to solve those problems. So unless there are any last questions, I'll just hop back into the presentation really quickly, and we can just discuss pricing. I know that you guys have discussed pricing, I think, before, and I know that there have been some discussions of back data as well. So everything that we went through today, it's all a part of our gold package. So it's just $60 per location per month. Yep.
Charles, we'll handle that, and we'll have that discussion offline with the group here.
Sounds good. Any other questions that I can help with?
How long would it take to implement this if we decided to go with it?
Yeah, so typically once we've decided that we're going to work together, it typically takes about 2 business weeks to get up and running. We need a little bit of technical information. Basically, we need some form of remote access. We need access onto the point of sale server, and then we need reports credentials to go through QA. Those are the only 3 sort of technical pieces that we need. And then we ask some basic operational questions. Are there particular days of the week that you're closed, or are you closed on certain holidays? Who should get access and what level of access should they get? So some of those questions, but typically you're looking at about 2 business weeks.
Does that include the data pull?
The data pull we would do when we did the installation. If that was something that you guys got at the time of installation, if you wanted to get up and running and then decide whether you wanted the back data, we would just need the remote access again. And I mean that typically it would take call it a week to be safe, but not typically that long.
Okay, thank you. One last question. Maybe. Let's just say that there happened to be some major negligence on a member of our team and our computers are fried. Is there a way for us to implement manually input some historical data?
There is unfortunately not a way to manually import any data, and the reason for that is because we pull everything at the individual item transaction level, and it has to come out of the individual database, because we actually take that really granular data and then we roll it up on our end so that you can go from that highest level of detail or that sort of highest level of overview down to that most granular detail with things like a single click. So it does have to come out of the database itself.
Okay.